2021, the Archbold Blue Streaks baseball team shocked the state with a remarkable tournament run that no one saw coming. From finishing just above 500 in the regular season to competing in the Division III state championship game, this team showed how getting hot at the right moment and believing in your teammates and the guys next to you can lead to incredible success. In this episode, we'll relive their improbable tournament run, sharing the highs, the challenges, and the moments that define their unforgettable season. Stay tuned as we bring you behind the scenes of Archbold's 2021 baseball season. Going into the 2021 season, Coach Selgo knew this team had some big shoes to fill.
The year before, we were loaded with players. I mean, we had some talented players in Jaron Williams, Kate Kern, Rigo Ramos, and Corey Erbscorn, and the list can go on. I'm leaving a number of guys out there, but we were a really good team. And then to have a lot of those guys graduate the next year, the obvious expectations go down quite a bit. So we're just going to try to, like always, try to get the most you can out of every team.
The last time the Streaks took the field, which was in 2019 due to the coronavirus, they finished the season 26-4 and were ranked number 1 in the state. That year, their season came to an end with a heartbreaking extra inning loss to Coldwater in the regional final game. This left them hungry to get back to the regionals and avenge their loss, but the Blue Streaks first baseman J.B. Burkle knew it wouldn't be easy because the Streaks only had one player returning with varsity experience.
But then I think another realistic goal for our team was to make it back to regionals. We had been to regionals, I think 4 years in a row at that time, and had yet to make it out to state. But I think for our group and the talent that we had at the time, I think that getting to regionals was the main goal for us.
By the end of the regular season, Archbold no longer seemed like a contender in Division III. The Blue Streaks ended up finishing the regular season with a record of only 16-11, losing 7 of their last 9 games. They also finished 4th in the league, despite being favored to win the title in the preseason. Rolling into the tournament, many expected an early exit for Archbold to put an end to their disappointing season. Pitcher Jaden Seiler didn't have high expectations going into the postseason that year.
You know, going into that year, we hadn't been in the state in 15 years, and nobody really thought we were going back anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, we were a team that, to be quite honest, had a really up and down regular season. And there were a lot of reasons for that. I think that at the beginning of the year, we were just a really sloppy defensive team. You know, we made a lot of errors. I can remember, in particular, a few different games where we had, I think, like 5 or more errors, which is, just really unacceptable. But another thing that I would say is we played a really tough schedule. And, you never want to make excuses for your team, but I know that Coach Selgo and, Coach Bruns, they really stress on and harp on playing this tough schedule to prepare us for the tournament. And my gosh, I mean, when you're playing teams like Anthony Wayne and Perrysburg and a lot of these other teams in the Toledo area, I mean, you're going to lose a lot of games, but I also think you're going to get better because of those games. So that definitely helped. And like I mentioned earlier, losing against league opponents was a big struggle for us too. Those were games that really kind of brought down morale. Losing to, Wauseon and Evergreen that year, just to name a couple, were some really tough moments. But I'd say those were the main sources of our struggles throughout the year.
The Blue Streaks opened up tournament play at home with league opponent Liberty Center.
Well, the tough thing about baseball, high school baseball, and basically any sport in baseball is it's a one-game playoff. There are no redos, or you have one bad game, or in baseball, one bad inning, one bad mistake, and it can cost you and you're done.
After escaping with a 4-2 win, Archbold advanced to play Lake in the sectional final game, and Archbold's DJ Newman had some thoughts.
So we played Liberty Center first game of the playoffs, and they were supposed to be, solid, anybody that can win a playoff game, and we squeaked by. And
going into the sectional final game, the Streaks still weren't playing their best ball, and found themselves as big underdogs going up against what Coach Brunswick and many others considered a top team in the state.
And I felt like Lake had a chance to win it all that year. They were very good.
Many believed that this would be the last game of their season. After finding themselves still tied at 0 through 6 innings, this Archbold team realized they had a chance to go win the game. Between a few big plays at shortstop by Brandon Taylor, an impressive performance on the mound by DJ Newman, and a huge hit by Zane Bainfeld in the top of the 7th, they did just that and didn't look back. After that 2-0 win, this team finally started to believe that they could make a run.
And DJ Newman threw a phenomenal game, who was our number 1 pitcher, one of the top pitchers in the area and the state. I think at that point, I know for myself, I started to believe when they did that.
From then on, this Archbold team was playing with confidence and nothing to lose.
Creighton in center and Creighton Kern and Jack Hurst was in right, and Caleb Holgrave behind the plate. The defense just got better as the season went on. We got the timely hits, and our pitchers went to another level.
After a 5-1 win over Fairview, the Blue Streaks advanced to the district final game against the Otsego Knights. Just when things started rolling Archbold's way, they faced another major setback.
During practice over at Defiance, Carson Dominic were doing some rundowns, and he got hurt, and that was right before our district game, and so we didn't have Carson, for the district.
The Blue Streaks were now headed to the district final game without their starting left fielder.
And we knew to make a tournament run, you have to have more than one pitcher. And so we knew we had Newman, and we could count on as one of our top ones, but then Seiler coming along really helped.
After playing a larger role in the varsity team throughout the season, freshman pitcher Jaden Seiler was called on for the district final matchup.
But the other thing that was a big key for us was our freshman pitcher, Jaden Seiler, kept getting better throughout that season. Remember, we were pitching him against some of the teams that maybe weren't quite as good, but then he just kept getting better and better. So we started throwing him in there against top-notch teams.
Although he got off to a shaky start, giving up a run in the first inning, Seiler quickly settled in. He went on to pitch a complete game where he struck out 11 batters total. Between Seiler's dominant outing and Newman's day at the plate, where he went 3 for 4 with a home run, double, and 2 RBIs, the Streaks managed to move on once again, this time to the regional tournament.
Against Otsego, where we were facing the big lefty on the mound, and gosh, we really got the bats going that day. I forget exactly the score of that game, but I remember we were just firing on all cylinders, and it was just such a fun game to play in. But after that game, once he advanced to regionals, I think the whole team kind of realized, like, oh my gosh, like, we're right here. Like, we've achieved our goal, and we're 2 wins away from going down to Akron and going to state.
The Ed Sandy Field in Elida, Ohio, was a place the Archbold Blue Streaks knew all too well. This marked their 5th consecutive trip to the regional tournament there, but each of the previous 4 visits had ended in heartbreaking losses just shy of reaching the state tournament. With this history behind them, there was an added pressure this time around. The Blue Streaks were determined to finally overcome the obstacle that had kept them from Akron for so long. In the regional semifinal, Archbold faced Milan Edison, with DJ Newman starting on the mound for the Blue Streaks. After giving up just 1 earned run, Newman and the Archbold defense held the game tied 2-2 through 7 innings. Both teams had opportunities to win in extras, but the game was finally decided in the bottom of the 11th. With 1 out, Brandon Taylor hit a sacrifice fly that scored Gavin Bailey for the walk-off win.
Taylor stands to be the winning pitcher. He hits it into center. It's caught out there, tagging from third.
Taylor and Jaden Seiler both came in as relievers during extra innings and worked out of multiple jams to keep Archbold in the game. With once again another impressive performance, the Blue Streaks were on a roll. With the trip to the state tournament on the line, the only thing standing in their way now was their regional final matchup with Liberty Union. The game started with Archbold's freshman Jaden Seiler on the mound, getting off to a rough start in the top of the first inning.
I feel like the hardest challenge I faced in the tournament was letting up 2 runs to Liberty Union in the regional finals.
Despite the rough start, the Blue Streaks offense heated up, led by sophomore Creighton Kern, who finished just a home run shy of the cycle and drove in 3 RBIs. Archbold rallied to score 6 runs in the first 3 innings and never trailed from that point on. Seiler eventually settled in and came through with another clutch performance on the mound to help the Streaks cruise to an 8-3 win and punch their ticket to the state tournament.
Getting to regionals 5 years in a row, kind of getting the monkey off our back and finally getting to state, that was just huge for us. And yeah, I remember specifically last out of, regional finals, ground ball to DJ. He makes an amazing play, and I kind of picked it at first base. I remember making that last out and then just chucking that ball into center field because, in the moment you don't really know how to process the emotions. It's just pure joy going through you, and especially being underdogs, we loved that role because nobody really believed in us except for the group that we had. After our regular season, like you said, being about a 500 team, but gosh, once you get to state, that group, we were rolling with some insane confidence then going into state semis after all that.
Tonight we're talking with the Blue Streaks. They are in the state semis for just the 2nd time in school history. Their only other trip, they won a state title back in 2005. The season didn't start out the way Archbold had hoped. They lost 11 games this year, which is actually the most of any team that advanced to the state Final Four in any division. But what's important is they have turned things around and they're playing great baseball at the right time, and that tough early schedule prepared them for this tournament run.
Head coach Dick Selgo debated back and forth on who to hand the ball to in the state semifinals. It wasn't until this morning hurler Jaden Seiler learned that this game was all his.
I took a lot of reps at second base because DJ is supposed to be pitching for the state semis, and I was supposed to be pitching for the state finals. But getting on the bus, going to the game, Coach Selgo pulled me aside and said all the coaches talked it over, and they thought the best situation would be me to pitch in the state semis and DJ in the state finals.
With this last-minute change, the Streaks were now leaning on their standout freshman pitcher, Jaden Seiler, to keep their season alive.
We'll see a pitching matchup of a experienced senior in Eric Baum and the freshman for Archbold, Jaden Seiler.
I would say I was very nervous at the beginning of the game until the first pitch. I feel like I locked in after that. Just knowing that I had the best defense behind me and knowing that they make plays really helped. I just had to keep hitters on balance and get ground balls and pop flies like I did all season. And I felt like I did a really good job at that game.
After 4 scoreless innings, Archbold finally got their bats going in the top of the 5th inning.
Here's Creighton Kern, payoff pitch. Ripped toward left center. Cut off by the left fielder Johnson. Big turn, going for 2. Here's Kern, sliding safe. He's got a double. Creighton Kern was thinking 2-base hit from the time he left the box, and that's the reason he's at first flexing his muscles right now, Dave. So now, Archbold will turn to DJ Newman, and that is usually a very good thing. Newman, first team All-Ohioan, .519 batting average, 3 home runs, 29 RBI, and we're going to get a confab with Canton Central Catholic. I tell you, I would walk him. I'll be honest with you. I'd walk this guy from here every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
If I said I wasn't nervous there, I would have been lying. So I was a little nervous, walking up to the plate. The crowd starts cheering. Big point in the game. Obviously, you can't hide from it. You know it as a hitter. But once I stepped on the, you walk to the dirt you're in the grass, right? I'm walking in the grass, and then once I hit the dirt, it was kind of just blackout, whatever, nerves gone, everything. And I just knew that I needed to put the ball in place somewhere, and I just tried to stay true to what I'm good at, is going opposite field with it.
2 outs. Scoreless game in the 5th, a runner at second. Baum working to Newman. Newman goes the other way. It's a base hit. Can Kern score it? Harris is up with the throw. It's cut off. And the Archbold Blue Streaks lead 1-0 as the relay was late. DJ Newman does it again for Archbold. So Canton Central Catholic decides to pitch to DJ Newman, and it proves to be the wrong decision. He plates Creighton Kern with the first run of this game.
Going into the bottom of the 7th, Archbold still held the 1-0 lead and were only 3 outs away from making it to the state final game.
Seiler shakes off a side. Now he's ready to go. He kicks, he deals. Swing and a miss on a high fastball. It's all over. The Archbold Blue Streaks win this state semifinal by a final score of 1-0, and Jaden Seiler goes the distance, striking out 6 and throwing a 3-hitter as the Blue Streaks pick up their 23rd win of the year, and they have an appointment with CHCA on Sunday morning for the D3 title.
And we now have a championship matchup of Archbold and Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy. Those two met in the 2005 semifinals when Archbold won it 7-6. We'll see who will win this time Sunday morning at 10 o'clock.
And just like that, the Streaks were headed to only their 2nd state championship game in school history. Unfortunately, Archbold's dream season ended with a tough 4-1 loss to Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy. That day, the Streaks just couldn't quite get their bats going against CHCA's pitcher, who was committed to Butler. Their only run came in the 5th inning when sophomore Devin Morris drove a line drive into the right field corner to score Gavin Bailey. Although the Blue Streaks came up just short in the final game of their Cinderella story, what they managed to accomplish that year was remarkable.
Now, tough way to end the season for Archbold, but you got to realize this team at one point was 14-10. They were the 4th seed in their own district. So really they have put it together late in the season and turned their season around. They were only 4-3 in their own league, the NWOAL. So they really found something late in the season to propel them to a regional championship and in fact into the state championship game.
Part of what made this team and this tournament run so special was the support of the community along the way. Brady Johns shared his thoughts on the community's support throughout Archbold's tournament run.
Supporting this team throughout their run was awesome because you saw the community come out and support the team. It also made you feel closer to the community, you know, seeing everybody travel all the way to Akron. It was just really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, the community, everyone knows the amazing community in Archbold we have had and that we've been blessed to grow up in, but they were awesome the whole way. Because, you know, the biggest thing I think when you're playing baseball in high school, you expect, you know, pretty small crowds, just the parents, maybe a couple buddies will show up, things like that. But man, once we got, especially the districts, like I remember that district final game had a huge crowd in Defiance, just an awesome place to play. And then the regionals at Ed Sandy, we had a ton of people there, but specifically state. I mean, that was so cool, the send-off that our community gave us. We actually got 2 send-offs because our first one, we had to turn around. We were about 20 minutes out on our drive, and I remember Coach John Feather told us that, fellas, the tournament's getting pushed back a day because of rain. But so we actually got 2 send-offs from the community. Those were awesome. And then at state, I mean, that crowd, having a student section at a baseball game is something that you're not used to. And I'll just shout out guys like my good buddies Brady Johns, Tyler Hurst for being in that student section, kind of organizing everything. So yeah, the community played such a big role in that run. It was really awesome.
Although the Blue Streaks came up just short, what they accomplished that year was truly remarkable.
I feel like that season was just, we went in with nothing to lose mentality. We weren't playing tight. We were just playing loose and playing ball with our friends, you know. That's, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
This Archbold team had been doubted and overlooked all season, but when it mattered most during tournament time, they came together and found ways to win. Their underdog mentality and playing with that nothing to lose mindset was ultimately what got them so far. Even though the journey wasn't always smooth, especially early on, this team showed its true character and will be remembered for one of the greatest tournament runs in Archbold athletic history. But more importantly, this team will prove that with a little bit of luck and belief in your teammates, anything is possible. Thanks to Coach Selgo, Coach Brunswick, DJ Newman, Jaden Seiler, JB Burkle, and Brady Johns for taking the time to interview for the story. Also thanks to NFHS, BCSN, and WTOL 11 for their media contributions to tell this story. I'm Kurt Krueger, and this has been a production of Archcom Media. Subscribe for more great content.